Here we go. Bryan Mbeumo finally becomes a Manchester United player after weeks of drama. Remember that feeling when you're waiting for your exam results and every minute feels like an hour? That's exactly how Manchester United fans have felt for the past month, watching the Bryan Mbeumo transfer saga unfold. The endless back and forth, the rejected bids, the reports of talks breaking down, it's been exhausting. But today, finally, we can all breathe a sigh of relief. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed it with his famous words, "Here we go. Bryan Mbeumo is officially becoming a Manchester United player." After weeks of negotiations, rejected bids, and moments where it looked like the deal might collapse completely, United have finally got their man. The 25-year-old Brentford forward will join United in a deal worth up to £71 million, with £65 million guaranteed and £6 million in bonuses. It's a massive signing that shows United mean business under Ruben Amorim, and it could be the move that transforms their attack for the coming season. But how did we get here? Why did this transfer take so long? And most importantly, what does Bryan Mbeumo bring to Old Trafford that makes him worth all this drama and money? The long road to Old Trafford. Let's start from the beginning. When Ruben Amorim took over as United's manager, he made it clear that fixing the attack was his top priority. After a disastrous 2024-25 season that saw United finish 15th in the Premier League with a shocking -10 goal difference, everyone knew changes were needed. Amorim's 3-4-2-1 formation requires specific types of players, especially in those two attacking midfield positions behind the striker. The Portuguese manager identified two key targets: Matheus Cunha from Wolves and Bryan Mbeumo from Brentford. The Cunha deal was straightforward. United simply triggered his £62.5 million release clause, and that was that. No drama, no lengthy negotiations, just a clean and simple transfer. Many fans probably thought the Mbeumo deal would be just as easy. How wrong we were. The rejection that started it all. United's first bid from Mbeumo was worth £55 million in total. For most clubs, that would be a massive offer that would be hard to turn down. But Brentford aren't most clubs. They knew exactly what they had in Mbeumo, and they weren't going to let him go cheap. The Bees rejected that first bid without much consideration. They wanted something closer to what United had paid for Cunha, which made sense from their perspective. Why should they accept less for their star player than United paid for someone else? This rejection should have been a warning sign. Brentford were going to play hardball, and United would need to be prepared for a long negotiation process. The second rejection that worried everyone. Not deterred by the first rejection, United came back with an improved offer. This time, they put more than £60 million on the table. Surely this would be enough to get Brentford to the negotiating table properly? Wrong again. The second bid was also rejected, and this is where many fans started to worry. If £60 million wasn't enough, just how much were Brentford going to demand? Were they pricing Mbeumo out of a move completely? The rejection of the second bid was described as shocking by some reports. United had increased their offer by £5 million, which isn't a small amount, but Brentford still said no. It was clear that they had a specific number in mind, and they weren't going to budge until United met it. The moment it almost fell apart. After the second rejection, things got really scary for United fans. There were reports that the deal might collapse completely. Some sources suggested that United were considering walking away from the negotiations altogether. This was the moment that separated the real United fans from the casual observers. The real fans knew that Mbeumo was exactly what the team needed, and they were willing to wait and see if the club could find a way to make it work. But the waiting was painful. Every day brought new reports about the state of the negotiations. One day it looked positive, the next day it looked like it was over. The uncertainty was driving everyone crazy. Why United never gave up. Despite the rejections and the rumors about walking away, United never actually gave up on Mbeumo. Why? Because Ruben Amorim had identified him as the perfect player for his system, and when a manager is that certain about a player, clubs usually try to make it happen. Mbeumo's stats from last season tell the story. He scored 20 goals in the Premier League, making him the fourth highest scorer in the division behind only Mohamed Salah, Alexander Isak, and Erling Haaland. That's incredible company to be in, and it shows just how good Mbeumo was last season. But it wasn't just about the goals. Mbeumo also provided assists, created chances, and showed the kind of versatility that Amorim loves. He can play as a winger, as an attacking midfielder, or even as a striker if needed. That flexibility is exactly what United needed. The player who only wanted United. Here's something that probably helped United in their negotiations. Mbeumo only wanted to join United. According to reports, he had prioritized United over all other clubs if he was going to leave Brentford. This is huge in transfer negotiations. When a player has his heart set on one club, it gives that club a significant advantage. Other clubs might make offers, but if the player isn't interested, those offers don't matter. Fabrizio Romano confirmed that Mbeumo had agreed personal terms with United weeks ago. The contract was never the problem. It was always about getting the two clubs to agree on a fee. Once that happened, everything else was already in place. The final push that got it done. So what changed? How did United finally get this deal over the line after weeks of rejections and uncertainty? The answer is simple. They met Brentford's asking price. United's final offer was worth £65 million guaranteed, paid in 4 installments, plus up to £6 million in bonuses. The total package could reach £71 million, which was clearly what Brentford had been holding out for. This wasn't just about the money, though. It was about respect. Brentford wanted to be treated as equals in this negotiation, not as a smaller club that should be grateful for whatever United offered. By meeting their asking price, United showed that they respected Brentford's position and were serious about getting the deal done. What this means for United's attack. Now that the deal is done, let's talk about what Mbeumo actually brings to United. The numbers are impressive, but how will he fit into Amorim's system? In Amorim's 3-4-2-1 formation, Mbeumo will likely play as one of the two attacking midfielders behind the striker. This position requires someone who can score goals, create chances, and provide width when needed. Mbeumo ticks all these boxes. His 20 goals last season show that he can find the back of the net regularly. His pace and directness will give United a different dimension in attack. And his experience in the Premier League means he won't need time to adapt to the pace and physicality of English football. The Brentford perspective. While United fans are celebrating, let's spare a thought for Brentford fans. Losing your best player is never easy, especially when that player has been so important to your success. Mbeumo has been with Brentford since 2019, when they were still in the Championship. He's been part of their journey to the Premier League and has been one of their most consistent performers. Replacing him won't be easy, but from Brentford's perspective, this is also good business. They've received a massive fee for a player they bought for a fraction of that amount. The money they receive from Mbeumo will help them strengthen other areas of their squad and continue their impressive work in the Premier League. How this changes United's transfer window. The completion of the Mbeumo deal is huge for United's transfer window. It shows that the club is willing to spend big money to get the players that Amorim wants. It also sends a message to other potential targets that United are serious about competing again. But this signing also creates some pressure. With Cunha and Mbeumo both costing significant money, United's attacking options will be expected to deliver immediately. There's no time for a slow start or a lengthy adaptation period. The good news is that both players are Premier League proven. Cunha has been excellent for Wolves, and Mbeumo has been one of Brentford's standout performers. They should be able to hit the ground running at Old Trafford. What United fans can expect. So what can United fans expect from Bryan Mbeumo? Based on his time at Brentford, they should expect goals, assists, and a player who never gives up. Mbeumo is known for his work rate and his willingness to track back and help defend. He's not just a luxury player who only shows up in the final third. He's someone who contributes to the team in multiple ways. His pace will be particularly important for United. One of the criticisms of United's play in recent years has been their lack of pace in wide areas. Mbeumo will give them that pace and the ability to stretch opposing defenses. The price tag pressure. Of course, signing for £71 million comes with pressure. United fans will expect Mbeumo to be an immediate success, and there will be comparisons to other players who have cost similar amounts. But Mbeumo seems like the type of player who will thrive under pressure. He's been Brentford's star player for years, which means he's used to being the one that everyone looks to for inspiration. That experience should serve him well at Old Trafford. Looking ahead to pre-season. With the deal now confirmed, Mbeumo should be able to join United's pre-season tour to the United States. This will be crucial for his integration into the squad and his understanding of Amorim's system. Pre-season is when new signings really start to show what they can do. It's when they build relationships with their new teammates and start to understand how their new manager wants them to play. United fans will be watching closely to see how Mbeumo fits in. The domino effect. The completion of the Mbeumo deal could also have a domino effect on United's other transfer business. With two major attacking signings now completed, the club might turn their attention to other areas of the squad. There are still question marks over the striker position, with the Nicholas Jackson swap deal still uncertain. There might also be room for more signings in defense or midfield, depending on what other players United can move on. A statement of intent. More than anything, the signing of Bryan Mbeumo is a statement of intent from United. After years of disappointing transfers and failed signings, they've now completed a deal for a player who was genuinely wanted by multiple top clubs. This isn't a panic buy or a player who was available because no one else wanted him. This is a player who was Brentford's best performer, who other clubs were interested in, and who United had to work hard to convince to join them. The fans' reaction. The reaction from United fans has been overwhelmingly positive. After weeks of uncertainty and frustration, they finally have the confirmation they've been waiting for. Social media has been full of excitement and relief that the deal is finally done. But there's also a recognition that this is just the beginning. Signing good players is one thing, but making them work together as a team is another challenge entirely. United fans know that success isn't guaranteed just because they've signed expensive players. Conclusion. A new era begins. The signing of Bryan Mbeumo represents more than just another transfer for Manchester United. It represents the beginning of a new era under Ruben Amorim, where the club is willing to be patient, strategic, and decisive when it comes to getting the players they want. The fact that this deal took so long to complete might have been frustrating for fans, but it also shows that United are no longer willing to overpay or make desperate signings. They identified their target, they stuck to their plan, and they eventually got their man. Mbeumo brings goals, pace, and Premier League experience to Old Trafford. He's exactly the type of player that United have been missing, and his signing should make an immediate impact on the team's attacking play. But perhaps most importantly, this signing shows that United are back in the market for top-quality players. After years of disappointment and failed transfers, they're finally starting to make the kind of signings that can compete with the best teams in the league. The Bryan Mbeumo transfer saga is over, but the real work is just beginning. United fans will be hoping that this is the signing that finally gets their team back to where they belong, competing for trophies and playing the kind of football that makes Old Trafford a fortress once again. With Fabrizio Romano's "Here we go" confirmed, United fans can finally start dreaming about what their team might achieve with Bryan Mbeumo in the lineup. The wait is over, and the excitement is just beginning.